we wake.
Welcome to the final day of our trip down the Oregon coast in January 2026. We had stayed the night at the Driftwood Shores Resort and woke up at sunrise to a beautiful view. The resort was pretty outdated and a little run down, but we slept okay and we were headed out the door early as we had a really long drive ahead of us. We started our day by driving back south into Florence to go to a local cafe on the water.
Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright.
We stopped in at River Roasters Espresso for breakfast, and this is our favorite spot in Florence to have breakfast. They have excellent food and great coffee, and a great view out the back if you're willing to put up with a little bit of cold.
Before sleep, hear the crickets, see the moon, side by side and through. No limit to what we can do.
Our day started in Florence and would end in Seattle and was 350 miles, and Google Maps said it would take 7 hours. However, we were planning on stopping along the way to see some sights we had skipped on the way south, so it was going to be much longer than a 7-hour drive day. We were planning on stopping at Thor's Well on the way back, as well as any other viewpoints that caught our eye, as long as we had daylight left. Neptune Beach caught our eye as our first stop for the morning. This is one of those places you see the view as you drive by, so we doubled back and parked and took a little walk. It was a nice little place and no one was there, and we had the beach all to ourselves, and we also had a chance to fly our drone. Not far up the road from Neptune Beach was Thor's Well and Spouting Horn. Both of these sites are next to each other in the Cape Perpetua scenic area. We were lucky today in that the Spouting Horn was going off because the tide was high and we had some decent waves. The high tide also meant that there wasn't really anything going on with Thor's Well, but we hung out and watched the waves crashing the Spouting Horn for quite a while. Here you can see that the high tide means that the Thor's Well is pretty much full from the start, so there isn't much activity going on. This big water splash is because there's a cave just underneath the rocks here. After taking copious amounts of pictures and videos, we wandered around to the other side of the inlets. After appreciating the big splashing waves a little bit more, we decided we wanted to use the restroom and we headed up to the Cape Perpetua National Forest Visitor Center. Because it was MLK Day, a federal holiday, the visitor center was closed, but there was still some great views from there, and thankfully, the toilets were open. After a short walk back to the car, we headed north on 101 towards Seal Rock. We ended up stopping in Seal Rock less because we wanted to go visit the rock and more because we needed to use the bathroom. However, we took the opportunity to go for a nice little walk and enjoy this beautiful view.
Oh, it's pretty.
After a quick stop at Seal Rock, we headed north towards Newport. Newport is a very touristy area, but it is a great place to stop to get lunch, see some sights, and see some sea lions. Even though it was wintertime, Newport was still pretty packed. We tried a few places for lunch, but they all had huge wait times, like 45 minutes plus. So on the way back to the car, we saw Pacific Seafood and we thought, hey, let's give this place a try. We've never been here before. There was no wait, it was easy to order, and it was actually a lot cheaper than the other places in town. The clam chowder was excellent, and so were the fish and chips. They had a very unique batter. We are keeping this one bookmarked as an easy place to go that's not too expensive in Newport, that we really had good food at. After hanging out with some sea lions and having some lunch, we headed back out on the road down 101 as it was midday and we had a long ways to go. The Oregon coast has a lot of small towns, and this is the Depot Bay Harbor. It's the world's smallest harbor according to the sign going over the bridge. Just like our last 2 days, we waited till the sun was almost down and looked for the nearest viewpoint. We ended up at the Silver Point Interpretive Overlook. There were only a couple other cars there, and we had a beautiful view of sunset over the ocean. After another beautiful Oregon coast sunset, we headed back out on the road as we had a long drive ahead of us, and it was all going to be in the dark. After Seaside and Astoria, the rest of our trip was going to be basically I-5 in the dark going north, which is really boring. So this is the end of our trip.